In this video, we're going to look at dividing two fractions. It's not as difficult as it seems, so don't be put off by it. So the first example is 1/3 divided by or shared by 1/2. Now the way I like to do this, I like to imagine a concrete truck or a cement truck. So the cement truck comes in and pours concrete over the first fraction. So now this is stuck, it cannot move. So what I like to do is I like to write the first fraction as it is. I like to turn the divide into a times, and I like to flip this fraction over. So it becomes 2/1. Now let's look at this part very carefully. I'm going to write that up there. So I have 1/3 times 2/1, or 2 ones. Now what did we say about multiplying fractions? You multiply straight across. Multiply straight across. Fraction line. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. So I can say 1/3 divided by 1/2 is 2/3. Let me go through that again. You keep the first fraction the same. You turn the divide into a times, and you flip the second fraction over. And then it's simply multiplying two fractions, and you multiply straight across. Okay, let me do another example. 2/5 divided by 1/2. And what did we say? We put this fraction into concrete, so that does not move. That fraction stays the same. So the first fraction is 2/5. We turn the divide into a times, and we flip the second fraction. 2/1. Now it's simply multiplying two fractions, and what did we say? You multiply straight across. So do the fraction line. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. So I can say 2/5 divided by 1/2 is 4/5. Let me go through that again. You keep the first fraction the same. You change the divide into a times, and you flip the second fraction over. Then it's simply multiplying two fractions, and you always multiply straight across. Now I'm going to show you another method which you may have heard about. 1/3 divided by 1/2. Now it's the KFC method, not that KFC, but the keep, flip, and change. All that means is you keep the first fraction the same, you flip the second fraction, so that is flipped over, so it becomes 2/1, and you change the divide into a times. If you notice, it's very similar to the previous method I showed you, but some children have been taught this KFC. So now you're multiplying two fractions, and you multiply straight across. fraction line. 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 1 is 3. So 1/3 divided by 1/2 is 2/3. It gives the same result. So this is the KFC method. Keep, flip, and change. Now, one final thing I want to show you on this. If I have 1/5 divided by 1/5. Now, if you notice, they're both the same fraction, and when you divide one fraction by itself, the answer will always be 1. So remember this. If two fractions are the same, for example, 1/2 divided by 1/2, because these are both the same and I'm dividing, my answer will always be 1. So make a note of this. It's an important little trick that you can keep in your brain, and it'll make your fractions much easier. Now I want you to tackle these 6 questions. There's a worksheet which you can download from tes.com. There's a link in the description. You can pause the video, have a go, and then check your answers. The first question is 1/4 divided by 1/8. So I keep the first fraction the same, 1/4. I turn the divide into a times, and I flip the second fraction. So it becomes 8 divided by 1, or 8 ones. Now, it's simply multiply straight across because I'm now multiplying two fractions, 1/4 and 8/1. Fraction line, 1 times 8 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. Now, if I look carefully, I can simplify this. They're both in the 4 times table, so I can divide the top number by 4, and whatever I do to the top number, I have to do to the bottom number. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And I know any number divided by 1 is that number, so it's 2. So I can say 1/4 divided by 1/8 is 2. My next question is 2/5 divided by 3/10. I keep the first fraction the same. I turn the divide into a times, and the second fraction I flip. So that becomes 10/3. So can you see what's happened? The 3's gone to the bottom and the 10's gone to the top, so they've swapped places. Now I simply multiply across because it's two fractions. Fraction line, 2 times 10 is 20, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now I can simplify this fraction because I can see they're both in the 5 times table. So I divide the numerator by 5, and whatever I do to the top number, I have to do to the bottom number. So I'm going to divide the bottom number by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now what I've got is an improper fraction. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. So I can take this a step further. So let me try it here. 4/3. I've got 4 pieces and I need to put them into groups of 3. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need to put them into groups of 3. So I can get one group of 3. So that's the big one. And I have a remainder of 1, and the little remainder goes there. And this 3 comes here. And we've done this in a previous video. We've turned an improper fraction into a mixed number. So I can say 2/5 divided by 3/10 is equal to 1 1/3. My next fraction is 1/2 divided by 1/6. I keep the first fraction the same. I turn the divide into a times, and I flip the second fraction. So the 6 goes to the top, the 1 goes to the bottom. So it's 6/1, or 6 ones. Now what I've got is two fractions, and I multiply straight across. There's my fraction line. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Now I can see I can simplify this. I can divide the top number by 2 because it's even, and whatever I do to the top number, I have to do to the bottom number. So I can divide the bottom number by 2 as well because they're both even. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 3 divided by 1 is 3, because any number divided by 1 is that number. So I can say 1/2 divided by 1/6 is equal to 3. My next question is 2/8 divided by 1/4. Now if you can spot a trick, this will be easy, but I'll do it the normal way. So I'll keep the first fraction the same, 2/8. I turn the divide into a times, and I flip the second fraction. So the 4 goes to the top and the 1 comes to the bottom. So it's 4/1, or 4 ones. Now it's simply multiplying two fractions, and we multiply straight across. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 1 is 8. Now if you notice, the numerator and the denominator are both the same. They're both 8s. And if you divide a number by itself, the answer is always 1. So 2/8 divided by 1/4 is 1. My next question is 1/10 divided by 1/100. As before, we keep the first fraction the same. We turn the divide into a times, and we flip the second fraction. So it becomes 100/1. Now we simply multiply straight across. 1 times 100 is 100. 10 times 1 is 10. Now I know I can simplify this because they're both in the 10 times table. So I'm going to do it here. 100 divided by 10. So I'm going to divide the numerator by 10, and whatever I do to the numerator, I'm going to do to the denominator. 100 divided by 10 is 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. And any number divided by 1 is that number. So our answer is 10. So 1/10 divided by 1/100 is equal to 10. Now the final question is 1/2 divided by 1/2. And if you can spot this straight away, they're both the same fraction and we're dividing, and the answer will always be 1. So 1/2 divided by 1/2 is 1. So now we've done all the fractions, adding, subtracting, multiplying and dividing. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe and share.